It's picks and predictions time for UFC Fight Night Vegas 98. We are this much closer to being done with the Apex. I'm going to give you my picks and predictions for the entire card for every single fight. We're going to start from the bottom, go all the way up. My overall record is now 248 and 154. Went 6-6 last week. Based off of decisions, should have been 9-3 at the bare minimum. Arguably 10-2 because I got robbed on the Esparza fight. I think Esparza won that fight. I think most people do as well. Most people think Marina Rodriguez won that fight based off of damage. Everyone knows Jose Aldo won that fight, and everyone knows Raquel Pennington won that fight. So those are 4 fights that I got fucking robbed right off of my record. I should have went 10-2, but I went 6-6. It's crazy how the judges can fuck my record, but it is what it is. Let's get right into it with the early prelim opener. First fight of the night right here, Clayton Carpenter, Louis Roca. This should be pretty interesting. I'm going to go with Clayton Carpenter. I'll let you know that right off the bat before I get into this whole thing. But it's going to be close. I think Lucas Roca is going to have a lot for him early. I think he's going to throw very hard, heavy, blitz takedowns. I think he's just going to come out in this fight like a bat out of hell. Not come out like John Jones or Jeff Molina, but come out of this fight like a bat out of hell and just start swinging like crazy, maybe have a couple damaging shots. It might get dicey for Clayton Carpenter for a little bit, but I do think eventually as the fight continues to progress, about 3/4 of the way through the first round, when it gets to about the minute mark of the first round, you're going to see Lucas Roca start to slow down. I'm going to keep calling him Louis Roca because he just seems like a Louis, but it is what it is. I think Lucas Roca is going to slow down. I think Clayton Carpenter is going to start to dial in a little bit, pick up his striking, get his takedowns, and start to do his work and really take over as the fight continues to progress. I think Lucas Roca is going to win round 1, but I'm going to go with Clayton Carpenter to win rounds 2 and 3, and he's going to win a decision here 29-28. I think you will have a dumb judge that'll give it 30-27 because Clayton Carpenter looked good at the end of round 1, but it's going to be a 29-28 decision for Clayton Carpenter. That's the pick that I'm going with here. Let's do fucking good on predictions this week, guys. Let's not get fucking robbed this week. Here we go. Dan Argueta, Cody Haddon. So Cody Haddon fought on this season of the Contender Series, I believe, and he looked pretty impressive against a tough opponent. It was Billy Brand. Billy Brand was getting hyped up a lot. A lot of people liked Billy Brand, and Cody Haddon ended up shutting him down in the first round. So I like Cody Haddon in this fight here. I'm going to say it. I think Dan Argueta is big, powerful, but he does tire out. He is a PED abuser. And he's got decent wrestling, but I think I'm just going to say that Cody Haddon, I think, also has very good wrestling, and I think he's going to be able to stuff the takedowns, and I like his cardio better than Dan Argueta's. I think he's going to be able to take this fight over late. I don't know if Dan Argueta is going to get caught in a shitty guillotine again, because I did pick Dan Argueta to get caught in a guillotine in his last fight. I think it wasn't against Victor Hugo. It was another up-and-coming Brazilian on the card. Cody Haddon could get a sub here, but I do think that Dan Argueta is just going to tire out and Cody Durden's going to start landing his shots on the feet very well, and I think he's going to end up winning this fight by TKO in late round 2, early round 3. So I'm going Cody Haddon, late round TKO over Dan Argueta. That's the pick. Moving on to Julia Pilastri versus Corey McKenna. I don't care much about this fight at all. I do remember Julia Pilastri, I believe on the Contender Series, being decent. Yeah, she did get a second round submission, but then she lost a unanimous decision to Josephine Knudsen, who I actually rate Josephine Knudsen as pretty good. Last she fought was June 15th to 24 on the last Taira card. I like the activity. Corey McKenna, I think her last loss was Jacqueline Demorim on the ground. And I do think that Pilastri is much better at getting the fight to the ground than Jacqueline Demorim is. I think Jacqueline Demorim's much better when it gets to the ground, but I think Pilastri's good at getting it to the ground. But Pilastri's... actually, I don't know that I would say that she's great at getting it to the ground. I think that she hasn't fought the greatest opponents, and that's why she has decent-looking takedowns, but Corey McKenna might be able to stuff some of those. Pilastri's got the longer reach. She's probably going to do the more damage. I don't know, dude. This is going to be way too close of a fight to score anyway. Corey McKenna, I was not impressed. Cheyenne Velismus. back in 2022. Yeah, dude, I don't like the activity from Corey McKenna. She had one fight recently, and she got subbed immediately. Maybe that was the rest, but I'm going with Julia Pilastri. I like the activity. I like her striking much better than Corey McKenna's. She can get it to the ground if she wants. She's Brazilian, so she's probably going to have the submission edge, and we saw Corey McKenna just give up an arm and get submitted by Jacqueline Amora. So I'm going to go with Julia Pilastri to win this fight. It's going to be a decision. Themba Gorimbo versus Nico Price. The pick's Themba Gorimbo, but minus 390 is a ridiculous line. I will be sprinkling a little bit of money on Nico Price, and I'm not going to post my bets anymore for you guys, because you know what? When I post my bets, they fucking lose. No matter what, they lose. I should have been up a ton of money last weekend because I had 2 units on Aldo. I wrote 2 units on Raquel Pennington. I ended up putting 3 units on Raquel Pennington to try and get my Aldo losses out, and I got robbed in both fights. So when I post picks, they don't win. I'm not doing it anymore. So, Themba Gorimbo's the pick. I will be sprinkling money on Nico Price at this line, but I'm going to go with Themba. I think he's willing to make it boring, hold Nico Price up against the cage, which we saw that, the refs and the judges don't really care. If it's holding up against the cage not doing damage, they consider that point scoring. But I do think Themba Gorimbo is just much more physically advantageous of a pick in this fight. I think he's going to be able to take Nico Price down, and if he has to stall up against the fence, he will, and he'll land knees and try and land little shots to try and drain and actually land damage on Nico Price. I do see the referees in this fight going the absolute opposite direction they did last fight. We're going to see damage scored a lot more. We're going to see separations happen a lot earlier against the fence. Now, I do hate Themba Gorimbo striking, but Nico Price is so slow that I don't think he's going to be the guy to expose it. Themba has power, he's very physical, and he has a great grappling. His takedowns are very good. Once it gets to the ground, he's got good control, but I do think he can be submitted, but it's not going to be by Nico Price. I'm going to go with Themba Gorimbo to win this fight by a decision. I think this is going to be an absolute snooze fest decision. I think when they get on the feet, it's going to be slow. Nico Price is going to try and make it interesting. Themba's going to shoot a takedown, hold him against the fence. They get separated. The striking, Themba lands a couple of big shots. Then he goes right back to the clinch. I think that's just what the fight's going to be. I'm going with Themba to win by a decision. And we move on. JSP versus Pat Sabatini. I actually don't think JSP is that bad, but I think he wins a lot of his fights with aggression and grappling, and I don't think his striking's too good. I don't think he's knocking out Pat Sabatini, so I do think he's going to just instinctively kind of shoot takedowns, and I think he's going to get caught in a guillotine here. I'm going to go with a round 2 submission from Pat Sabatini, either a triangle choke or a guillotine. I like Pat Sabatini's grappling a lot. I think his jiu-jitsu is very, very good. His top pressure is very good. He can float very well. So if he is on top and not on the bottom, he can float and stay in positions or advance positions very smoothly. I don't think JSP's as great off his back. And I think Sabatini can get this fight to the ground. I think there are going to be moments when JSP thinks he can get it to the ground, and it's going to get him caught in something. I'm going Pat Sabatini by round 2 submission. That's the first underdog I'm picking on the card here. Yeah, I think Pat Sabatini is going to get it done. I also think that Jonathan Pierce can be a little bit aggressive, not a little bit aggressive. He's aggressive when he wants to kind of strike at you, but he kind of blitzes in and throws a little uncontrollably. And I do think that Pat Sabatini is going to remain measured, back up, blast a body kick when he thinks Jonathan Pierce is taking a little rest, maybe land a couple shots as Jonathan Pierce is coming in that looks a little bit better, use his elbows. He took some time off after his knockout to Diego Lopez. In this case, I like taking that time off, about 11 months here. Wow, it's 11 months that he took off. I think he worked on a lot of things to try and improve, and I think we're going to see that in this fight. I think Pat Sabatini is going to win by submission here. I don't think Pat Sabatini is as good as a lot of people have rated him to be, because he's just out of that Philly gym that people just seem to glaze like crazy. Talking to you, Felder. I actually like Felder a lot. I think he's probably the best commentator. John Anik and DC, I'm going to tell you right now, they're good commentators when Joe Rogan's not on commentator. And I'm a big fan of Joe Rogan's podcast. I've aligned with him politically on a lot of things. I just like the way he speaks his mind. He's based at times. But I agree with Joe Rogan on a lot of things. I really think his UFC commentary has just gone completely down the drain. It's the same regurgitated crap, and I just think it's an age thing at this point. I think he just like sometimes is forgetting that he said things so much. Yeah, it is what it is. I'm gonna go with Pat Sabatini by submission. Went on a little side rant there. Apologies. CJ Vergara versus Ramazan Tarimov. I'm going Ramazan Tarimov, but again, this is dicey. I don't like minus 350 here. I think Tamirov is good, and I think these Uzbekistan guys coming up are pretty decent. But CJ Vergara has gotten better in every fight, and I'm going to show that to you. Now, he's lost via submission a couple times, and I think he's going to get subbed in this fight. But Clayton Rodriguez, he had a close fight with. Very close, but he didn't look great. Got subbed by Taira. Taira's in the main event right now in a title elimination bout. He knocked out Daniel Lacerda, so he's getting better. Daniel Lacerda did pose a little bit of problems at times, but he knocked him out. He decisioned Vinicius Salvador and looked much better in this fight, even though he didn't look that great. But then he got grappled by Asu Almabayev, and that's where the weakness really is his grappling. Don't get me wrong, I think he's continuing to work on it, and I think he has worked on it, but I think that eventually Ramazan Tamirov is going to get to the takedowns and be able to hold this fight on the ground, eventually getting a submission when CJ Vergara makes a mistake, giving up his back, getting to the feet. And I know he didn't get subbed by Asu Almabayev, but I think he's due to make that mistake in the grappling this time. I'm going to go with Ramazan Tamirov to win, and sadly, CJ Vergara ends up getting cut at the end of this fight, I think. Even though the UFC needs flyweights, and we had a great flyweight in Gauchi on the Contender Series last night, look really good, and they just didn't give him a contract. Fucking weird, Dana. I don't know what you're all about right now, but Abdulrazak Alhassan versus Josh Fremd. I'm going to go with Abdulrazak Alhassan. Not overly confident in this one as well. I can just see Josh Fremd getting the fluke victory here, but I do think Josh Fremd stinks. I do. He got destroyed by Petrosky. So I'm going to go with Abdulrazak Alhassan. I think he's going to land the better shots here. I think his cardio is going to hold up. He does train at elevation, so even though we've seen him gas out at times, like he does have better cardio than a lot of guys in the middleweight division, in my opinion. Like, yeah, he got battered by Joe Pyfer. Josh Fremd is not on that level. I think that Abdulrazak Alhassan is going to pose a lot of problems, and Fremd's going to be a little bit scared in the beginning of the fight, and it's going to just... He's not going to be on as high alert as I think he should, just out of fear, and I think that Abdulrazak Alhassan is going to knock him out in the first round. I'm going to go with first round knockout, Abdulrazak Alhassan. That's the pick. It's first round knockout. I don't rate Josh Fremd that well, man. Like, he beat who? Like, Talulin and Cedric Dumas, I think? Lost a decision to Petrosky. Looked awful in that fight. Tired. Just couldn't get shit going. They were fighting at altitude, but that was just a low-level fight. Kopylov, he got knocked out in the second round. I mean, that's not a bad loss. He decisioned Jamie Pickett. He subs Cedric Dumas. Got subbed by Trayshawn Gore. I just don't rate these wins, man. I understand that he's in his prime right now, and Abdulrazak Alhassan's 39, but I don't see him knocking out Abdulrazak Alhassan, and I think Abdulrazak Alhassan is going to have the pressure battle here. There's a big height difference, but the reach is... there's still a difference in reach, but I think it's Razak, man. I think Abdulrazak Alhassan's getting this one done. First round knockout. If it goes to the later rounds, I could see Fremd pulling it off, but I think Razak Alhassan's going to get it done. This is my lock of the card. D-Rod is going to knock out Alex Morono. I think D-Rod's striking's crisp. His boxing specifically is crisp enough to beat Alex Morono. I just don't think Alex Morono's fast. Physical enough. He's very technical, but the striking just doesn't look good. His jiu-jitsu is very good, but I don't see him actually getting this to the ground against D-Rod. I think D-Rod's just going to be able to piece up Alex Morono and win this fight. Land a couple of good low kicks, land really good shots up top with the hands. I think Daniel Rodriguez is going to put on a show, and he's going to end up getting a second round knockout over Alex Morono. Alex Morono has these performances where he looks so bad, and then he has these performances where he ends up winning somehow. I don't think this is going to be the one that he ends up winning here. I think Daniel Rodriguez is going to get it done. I think that left hand is going to be really good for him. He's going to land that at will, land it behind the jab. He's going to land it on its own. I'm going to go with Daniel Rodriguez to win this fight, man. I think he gets it done. And I think he gets it done pretty easily. Round 2 knockout over Alex Morono. Lock of the card. Moving on, Grant Dawson. Yeah, Grant Dawson's going to win this fight. Don't think Rafa Garcia is that good. I don't think he has any like actual punching and power ability here. I think Grant Dawson's going to be able to take him down and out grapple him this whole round of this whole fight. I'm going to go with a 30-27 decision for Grant Dawson here. Maybe he gets a submission. But I think Grant Dawson is a good fighter. I just think he doesn't have the chin to be on the feet and stay in the top 15, but he's going to win this fight against Rafa Garcia. Rafa Garcia is not putting him out cold. If he does, then this fucking sport is absolutely cursed. There's no way anyone can predict it. But I'm going to go with Grant Dawson to win a decision here. I think he just significantly out-grapples Rafa Garcia. I think he's going to be able to have his way, and then when they do stand on the feet, I think Dawson's going to be very measured, land a couple jabs, get out of range, land some low kicks, land a combination, and then immediately get to that takedown and just control this whole fight. I think Joe Solecki's submissions are much better than Rafa Garcia, and he didn't stand a chance against Grant Dawson, so I'm going with Grant Dawson to win a decision. Excuse me. Guys, I have been sick for like a week and a half now. I don't know what to do. I have no idea what to do to get over it. But let's move on. Chidi Njokuani versus Jared Gooden. I think Chidi's much better on the feet. I think that Jared Gooden has fluked a win recently against Wellington Turman. I think he was getting just beat up in that fight, and then eventually he just lost it. Like, Wellington Turman just lost it, and Jared Gooden ended up getting a submission. Just want to take a look at Jared Gooden's like recent fights, though. It's Carlson Harris. He lost a decision. That's a weird fight. And then he was out of the UFC for a while. He got knocked out by Impa. Yeah, dude, I'm going to go with Chidi to get a knockout here. I think Chidi's got more. I think he's really dangerous in round one. I think his reach, 80-inch reach here is massive. He's 6'3". He has great low kicks. He times knees very well. He split Gregory Rodriguez open so bad with a perfectly timed knee. And I think he's going to be able to do things like that here against Jared Gooden. I'm going with Chidi Njokuani to win by knockout, man. I think it's going to be in that first round. I think we're getting a flash knockout here. Chidi Njokuani's the pick. Moving on, Jung Young Park versus Brad Tavares. So Jung Young Park is very good grappling and likes to get this fight to the ground at times. And a lot of people think that he only has grappling, but he has a very good jab. He does. And his reach is going to help him in this fight. Like, he's got pretty even reach with Brad Tavares here. But Brad Tavares made Chris Weidman look terrible. And Brad Tavares isn't this world beater, but I don't think he's getting knocked out by Jung Young Park. He's not getting taken to the ground and subbed by Jung Young Park. Can Jung Young Park win a decision here? Like, can Jung Young Park jab his way to a decision here? I think he can. And I don't like that I'm making a ton of favorites. But I think the favorites are due. Like, just look at the level of competition that he's faced, though, here. Brad Tavares, that is. UD'd by Rodriguez Duplessis, somehow survived that absolute battering. Got knocked out by Bruno Silva, don't love that, but Jung Young Park's not knocking him out. Split decision one against Amari Akhmadov. It's a guy that really likes to try and take it to the ground that he just stuffed a list. Antonio Carlos Jr. he won a decision against. Yatko he knocked out. Yeah, dude, he can win decisions against dangerous guys. Like Izzy, he lost a decision against. Rodriguez Duplessis, he lost a decision against. But other than that, I don't really see him losing many decisions. Yoel. Aaron Simpson's not good, but that's 2011. Yeah, you know what? I'm going the underdog here. I'm going Brad Tavares to win this decision, man. I look at Jung Young Park's resume, and I like Brad Tavares is much better here. I think that when it comes to Brad Tavares, he's going to be able to outdo decision here. Like, Jung Young Park lost a split to Andre Muniz. Don't love that. He subbed Duraev. Duraev sucks. He subbed Tululin. Tululin sucks. He subbed Holmes. Holmes sucks. I don't think Brad Tavares sucks. I'm going to go with Brad Tavares to win a decision here. I think he's going to outland Jung Young Park on the feet, get more volume. I think Jung Young Park might have more total strikes because he's going to land his jab a lot. But I think Brad Tavares is going to walk through it and land more power shots, land the low kicks, and end up winning a decision in this fight here. He's going to stuff all the takedowns of Jung Young Park. We're going Brad Tavares by decision here. I'm done being sick. And in the main event, I'm letting you know right now I'm picking Royval, and I'm picking him to win by a late round TKO here. Could win a decision. I think Tatsuro Taira could have some success early. I think the first round Royval's going to win, though. I think Royval's going to have moments where he's landing really good on the feet. Taira's trying to stand with him to show that he can strike, but Brandon Royval's getting the better of him, landing really good shots, low kicks, landing to the body to tire out Tatsuro Taira, landing good knees, showing him a lot of things up the middle to discourage Tatsuro Taira from shooting. Taira's going to have moments where he's going to hold Royval against the fence. He might take the back and jump on the back here, but I don't think he's going to do enough to win the round. Round 2 and 3, I think Taira is going to just out-grapple Royval, realize that's the path to victory here. Round 2, I think Taira is going to be in for a dominant round. I do. I think he's going to get top control. I think he's going to get the back. I think Royval is going to be defending submissions the whole time, and it's going to be a Taira round. Round 3, Taira is going to shoot, have some success in the grappling, but Royval is going to eventually get to the feet and notice that Taira is tired. I think Taira, even though he had a 5-round fight against Alex Perez, didn't go 5 rounds. It ended in 2. So he doesn't have that 5-round experience that we're used to seeing, with Brandon Royval having a ton of 5-round experience now. Had 2 fights in a row that went the distance in 5 rounds. He trains at elevation. He's a much better striker than Taira. He didn't get submitted by Pantoja, and I rate Pantoja's submission game just a little bit higher than Tatsuro Taira right now. And the level of comp he's fought is light years above Tatsuro Taira. Brandon Moreno won a split decision. He won that decision clear. I picked Moreno. I bet on Moreno. And I know Royval won that fight clear. Pantoja, he had a pretty close fight with Pantoja in those later rounds. Knocked out Mateusz Nicolau. Sub-match Nell. Decision Rogerio Bontorin. Those are all ranked guys at the time. Tatsuro Taira. One ranked win against Alex Perez, and Alex Perez got hurt. And if I remember correctly, Alex Perez was winning that fight in my eyes. Like, he was having moments where he was being successful. I thought he got the first round. Taira subbed Aguilar. Not a big win. He went to a decision with Shayrez, and it was a close fight. It's Shayrez. Like, Shayrez makes fights tough, and he's hard to put away, but, like, now he jumps to Carlos Hernandez, who isn't this absolute world beater. He knocks him out. He subs CJ Vergara, and then he jumps to Alex Perez and gets an injury victory? Dude, I'm not ready to call this guy. This guy will be a future champ. I do believe that Tatsuro Taira will be a future champ, but he's 24 years old, hasn't fought the best of competition thus far, hasn't been the full 5-round distance. He's getting a tough fight against the number 1 ranked flyweight in the world right now that's not Alessandro Pantoja. I'm going to go with Royval to win a late round TKO here. I think we're going to see Taira gas out, and I think Taira's going to go back to the drawing board after this fight, work on some things, continue to improve his striking, maybe take like a year off to really work on his skills, and then he's going to be an absolute dominant monster. I don't think this is the fight to get Taira to the title. I think he's going to lose this one to Royval. He'll be back after a loss, but I'm going Royval by a late round TKO here. Plus 210 underdog. Dude, I'm hitting these plus 200 main events, man. Moicano. I hit Perez over Nicolau. Like, I'm hitting some of these main events that are big underdogs here. So let's get another one here. These are my picks and predictions. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. If you disagree, let me know in the comments. I know a lot of people like Tatsuro Taira. I just don't think this is the fight that he's going to get it done, but he will be back. Thank you for watching. Please like and sub.